For most people, travel is simple. For the richest UFC legends, it's secret and expensive. $200,000 to skip lines and $160 million yachts with helicopters ready. From Conor McGregor's Lamborghini boat to John Jones's private moves, this is how UFC elites travel quietly, away from cameras and fans. Conor McGregor. If we're talking about secret travel that looks like a straight-up movie, we have to start with the notorious one. Conor McGregor is the undisputed king of flexing, but he uses private aviation to keep his family far away from the chaos of public terminals. Even though he doesn't own a jet, he drops a bag, sometimes over $7,000 per hour, to charter these birds. He's used them to sneak across the Atlantic to surprise his rivals, or to zip over to Saudi Arabia for massive boxing matches. When he isn't in the air, he's hidden on the water. Conor has a custom $3.6 million Lamborghini Technomar 63 yacht that he uses to escape to the south of France. He even stayed on a 300-foot super yacht called the Moonlight 2 in Abu Dhabi, which features its own spa and gym, just to keep his training camp private and away from the cameras. If you thought Conor was the only one traveling like a Bond villain, wait until you see who's trying to beat him at his own game. Ilia Topuria. He isn't just winning belts, he's winning the lifestyle game too. He literally refuses to go back to the way things used to be. Topuria has been very vocal about the fact that he spends a staggering $200,000 on round-trip private jets when he has to fly from Spain to the United States. For him, it's not just about looking cool, it's about saving time and making sure he arrives for his fights in the best possible shape. While some people, like Arman Tsarukyan, have accused him of flexing just to look richer than he is, Ilia sees it as a non-negotiable part of being a world champion. He uses these private flights to avoid the hassle of commercial travel, ensuring he can move between continents without anyone asking for a selfie while he's trying to nap. But hey, not every fighter needs a $100,000 flight to stay low-key. Some just want to get in and out without the media. Nate Diaz. The ultimate real dude. But even the Stockton legend knows when it's time to upgrade. While he usually keeps things pretty basic, for the big money fights, he's been known to roll up in a private jet to keep things quiet. Specifically, during UFC 263 Fight Week, he ditched the usual airline vibes and flew in private. Why? Because Nate wants to avoid the media scrums and the huge crowds at the airport. He likes to keep his circle small and his movements even smaller. Traveling this way allows him to maintain that mysterious persona that fans love while still getting the VIP treatment that a legend of his status deserves. He might be from the 209, but his travel itinerary says first class private. Speaking of moving up in the world, our next fighter went from sleeping in cars to flying over them. Jorge Masvidal. This is a guy who famously spent time sleeping in gym parking lots because he didn't have a place to stay. But once he became the champion and a massive superstar, his travel game changed forever. For his massive title fight in Abu Dhabi, his management made sure he was flying in a private jet. It's all about efficiency and getting from Miami to these far-flung global locations without the soul-crushing exhaustion of commercial layovers. For Masvidal, the private jet isn't just a flex. It's a tool that allows him to arrive ready to scrap, keeping his location secret until he's ready to step off the plane and into the spotlight. And you can't talk about UFC legends and secret travel without mentioning the woman who changed the sport forever, Ronda Rousey. Back when Ronda Rousey was running the show, she was one of the most famous athletes on the planet. To deal with that level of fame, she had to get creative with how she moved. Ronda frequently took private jets after her massive events to avoid the public eye. It wasn't just about luxury. It was about throwing off people who were following her and giving her a chance to recover in peace. These flights allowed her to zip between her Hollywood movie sets and the UFC octagon without being mobbed at a terminal. When you're the face of a sport, secret travel is the only way to keep your sanity, and Ronda used these private wings to keep her life as private as possible during her dominant reign. But the old school isn't the only one doing it. Some of the younger contenders are already living the high life. Arman Tsarukyan. This is a guy who isn't afraid to tell you exactly how much money he has. While some fighters try to act humble, Arman is out here proudly using private jets for his training camps and fight weeks. He has fired back at critics by clarifying that he is genuinely wealthy enough to afford this lifestyle. For him, it's about privacy and staying focused on the goal rather than just showing off. He admits that this kind of travel sets him apart from the rest of the pack, and it gives him a psychological edge knowing he's traveling like a boss while his opponents might be stuck in line at the airport. If you think Arman has style, you haven't seen the colorful way our next champion gets around. Sean O'Malley. Sugar. Sean O'Malley is all about that sugar lifestyle, and that definitely includes how he flies. The bantamweight champ is a frequent flyer on private jets, often posting about his trips to major events like UFC 316. For O'Malley, it's a mix of needing to get from his home in Montana to Las Vegas quickly and wanting to maintain a low profile as his fame reaches nuclear levels. He uses these private hops to ensure he arrives without the stress of being spotted, allowing him to keep that cool, calm energy he's known for. Plus, let's be real, private jets just look better on the gram, and Sean knows exactly how to market his elite status. But what about the guys who act like they're regular people, but secretly have friends in very high places? Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib Nurmagomedov is a bit of a mystery when it comes to travel. On one hand, he's been seen flying coach to stay humble, which is totally on brand for the Eagle. But on the other hand, there are massive rumors and speculations that he uses private jets and yachts for his retreats in the Middle East. Given his close ties to incredibly wealthy patrons and royalty in that region, it's almost certain he's not always waiting at gate B12. Especially after incidents where he was reportedly removed from commercial flights, the privacy and secrecy of a private hangar probably look a lot more appealing to him these days. In retirement, Khabib moves like a shadow, and those private connections help him stay off the grid. Of course, sometimes the UFC itself has to step in and make sure its biggest stars are traveling secretly and safely. Jon Jones. When you're the GOAT, you get special treatment. Jon Bones Jones has access to chartered private jets whenever the situation calls for it. In fact, after his big win at UFC 285, Dana White personally insisted on getting him a private jet to make sure he got home safe and sound. Jones has also used private travel for drug testing appointments and other logistics to keep things away from the prying eyes of the media. For someone whose career has been surrounded by controversy, seclusion is a top priority, and flying private is the best way to ensure that nothing accidental happens on the way to the arena. And finally, we have the last style bender, who definitely travels with plenty of style. Israel Adesanya. He is never one to shy away from the finer things in life. The middleweight legend regularly enjoys the perks of private jets for his global travels. He shared stories about some wild and high-energy experiences on these planes while shuttling between New Zealand, the US, and various flight locations. For Izzy, using private aviation is a key part of his recovery and training process, as it allows him to rest without the interruptions of a public cabin. He treats it as a hard-earned perk of his elite status in the game, and it keeps his movements secret enough that he can land in a city and get to work before anyone even knows he's there. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click on one of the suggested videos on your screen right now for more amazing content.